Hello, Car Store here. My last video was about a month ago, and I gave a tour of my Turin bell tower model. And at the end of that tour, I had stopped just about here at the top of the tower, and you can see I've added quite a bit more since then, including these shingles. And that's kind of the purpose of this video, is to show off a tip that was given to me on the Light Wiki forum in Facebook by Miko Kanari. So thanks a lot, Miko. This tip saved me a ton of time. So I use a plugin called LWCad. Highly recommend it for any Lightwave user who does any ArcViz work. It is a huge time saver and offers a lot of great expanded features for Lightwave. And what I was working on specifically was, after creating the shingles, I was trying to create these beams here underneath for supporting the roof. And I was, well, going about it the wrong way until Miko showed me the light with LWCad. So that's what the purpose of this video is going to be, is just to explain this tip. And I hope people find it useful. So to simplify things, I'm going to close my tower model. And we're just going to focus on this other model here, which is just simply the roof. I won't show off how LWCad does the shingles, but you basically have a simple polygon roof, and it will lay the shingles down on all the faces correctly, as you saw in the previous video. So what I did after that was flip all the polygons. So now the surface is facing downward. I'm just going to move this up in the y-axis a little bit, just so it's easier to show off. Now Lightwave, when you go into the create menu and you create a box, let's just draw out a box here. The box is going to be parallel to the X, Y, and Z planes. And that's all well and good. You can drop the box, and then we can use the rotate tool, or Y to rotate. You can see I'm rotating everything, because in Lightwave, when nothing is selected, everything is selected. Let's just select the box and rotate just the box. Anyway, there's various ways to go about trying to position these things. I wanted to put beams that were parallel, that lined up with these the underside of this roof here, and they're not equal to the X, Y, and Z planes here, so it's not very helpful. You can certainly do it, but it would take a lot of work. LWCad has something called the UCS, Universal Coordinate System, and I won't explain everything in this quick tutorial, because we're not talking about the UCS here, but basically it allows you to create your polygon primitives, and whatever face you click on as you start the creation process, it will automatically align to that face. So we drag out a box now after clicking here on the plane, and you can see that the box is aligned with that face. So a real time saver there, and that's how I was going about initially creating all my roof beams. I would drag out a box like this, and then I would use the Lightwave Axis Translate and Axis Rotate tools to get all of my support rafters lined up here at the edge of this face and position them around, basically following these long axes here. And that was going all well and good, and then I got to where I wanted to place cross beams here on these smaller faces. And although I could create the box easily enough, getting it to line up with my existing geometry was, well, it was problematic, and I was really struggling with it until Miko showed me this little tip. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. So this geometry here is on the first layer. I am going to select all of it, copy, go to the second layer, paste it in. So now that we're on a second layer, I want to keep this roof to use later on, and this is the layer that we're going to build the beams on. So to get the cross beams between everywhere, I'm just going to select this loop of geometry and connect everything. So now we have everything cut in half. And then I'm going to use LWCad's surface to curves. So that got rid of all the polygons, and it left us with curves. Now I know they're straight lines here, but curves can be both straight lines or curves. The way you spot a curve in Lightwave is it's got this little diamond head here. And so what we can do is select all the curves that we want to use for our support beams. And here, I think that's all of them. Yep. Okay. And with all those curves selected, we can go into the modify menu. Oh, sorry, no, the edit menu and the profile tool. I'm going to bring the numeric panel over here. And what profile tool does is very much like rail extrude in Lightwave, is you can have all sorts of curve-based profiles here, and it will extrude along the curves here in the windows that you've got selected. So I've got this slightly rounded square here that I've selected, and I'm using diameter mode. So we just expand that. I was making mine 100 millimeters, so I'll do that here. There we go. Commit that tool, and ta-da! We do have a little bit of a problem though. If I select this geometry and select connected, you can see that there's some odd shapes here. And if I go over to this, say this one, select connected, and it's got that weird shape built. So not very clean geometry here at all. So let's undo that. We'll go back to our curves. How can we fix this? And the answer is we have two curves here. Looks like there's only one, but remember the diamond is at the head of the curve. So there's a curve coming from here to here and from here to here. So there's actually two curves there. So we use the join tool in LWCad, and you see it says two curves modified down there. I don't know if you caught that in time, but we're going to do all the others. So join, two curves modified. So I'm just going to quickly join up everything here. And basically these long edges here are all going to become one curve. And the curves around the middle here I'm going to leave. There we go. That should be all of them. So if I select just around here, okay, we're almost done. We've still got a few things to fix. Most of the heads of the curves are here on the inside, but here they're a little messed up. So as you might expect, there's a tool for that as well. Let's unselect those. And these three curves here, we are going to flip. Now when I select them, yeah, exactly what we want. Everything's on the inside here. So perfect. Instead of two curves, each of these is now one curve. And we can go and select these other curves in here and run the profile tool. I'll bring the numeric panel back and we'll make this 100 millimeters. There we go. Now, when we select this piece of geometry and select all the connected, you see it's just this one beam and it doesn't go off in any crazy directions. And all of them are like that. And the ones in the middle here, they're actually all connected in a nice ring. So we've got much, much cleaner geometry, much easier to work with. And just one last thing I'm going to show you here. I'm going to hit the minus key and hide this ring of geometry. And you can see here that these are actually split down the middle because that's where the original curves were before we joined them. So there is a join there and it turns into an edge here, a polygon edge. And we can easily get rid of that by going to the edit edges and just shift clicking on all of those. It's a little difficult to select from this distance. Come on. There we go. Click. There. And there. So there we go. Much, much cleaner geometry now. And I'm going to unhide those other beams. And there's only one last thing that we need to fix up, and that is the profile tool placed everything on the center of the curve. So because these are 100 millimeters, I actually have to drop this down in height by 50 millimeters. So let's just select everything. Like so. And here in this view here, we're looking down the x-axis, so we can hit T for move and drop it down 50 millimeters right there. And I'm going to cut and come back to where we left our roof polygons and paste them in. I don't need this layer with the curves anymore, although if I wanted to keep it for other work later on in the model I could, but in this case I'm just going to get rid of that layer. And here we go. Our nice clean geometry. Roof support beams. This roof can be surfaced with something that looks like, say, wooden planks or something. And then if we'd use the shingles tool, we'd have shingles up top here. So thanks again, Miko. Really appreciate that tip. And I hope you find anyone else watching this finds this just as useful as I did. Thanks again, and click like or subscribe. See you in the next one.